We are in Siman Ayin Sivav. Yesh oisim l'tein basar shel nimlach klal. There are those who it's usher to put any meat which wasn't salted, or shenimlach upal kol damo, or let's say you bought it out of the, bought it from the store or something. Im basar shenimlach kodem pleitas dam, pleitas dam. Right? You can't put it together with a piece of meat which is being salted. The fisha basar shel nimlach or shenimlach upalat kol damo choizer b'leiv mashachaver pole. Because then it's gonna, if it's not being pulled itself, then it's gonna absorb the blood from the other piece. Some say you could still do melicha afterwards, ki az yaflit kol dam shabala, because then it'll go back and depolate all the dam that it absorbed. Some say it doesn't make a difference. That by case of the basar that wasn't the meat that wasn't salted already, so it's everyone the matir the chachili shalchish divrei oisrim. Again, we're talking about a case where the materian or the that if you do the materian in all the cases to go do melicha again, because that melicha will take out the other dam. However, the chachila, the mechaber says you should be choishish for the oiser haga. But feel b'di'evet noagin la'osroi in nafal basar shekvar palat kol dama with siroi. The Ramah says that if you let's say you have a piece of meat you took out of your freezer, and you decided to for some reason you're salting meat, whatever, you shechted your chicken, whatever, and it fell into the bowl or whatever it is, into the tzir. We asked for the evid. There's nothing you can do. You have lit zero or vit zero? I have vit. Right, so it's palat kol no vit zero. Right. It's finished completely. Yeah, it's after 12 hours, whatever. It's a basar shlosha adayin shir melicha. Then it's also we ask for filu b'di'evid. A piece of meat which hasn't been salted yet, so that already we say, okay, fine, you can salt. You're going to salt it anyway. But a piece of meat that was already done, everything, then we ask for b'di'evid. Now, unlike what the Mechaber said before, that it's 12 hours, Ramah says that there are shitas who hold that that polit seer is they're makel up until 24 hours. V'im naga toch zvan ze lebaso shenimlach v'lo sha adayin shir melicha eno nesar. So therefore there are, even though yes the minig is the hachmir, but the Ramah brings a kula that okay, but if it's still within 24 hours, then it'll be okay with melicha obviously. So right. Not the shir, the v'lo sha'adayin. No, it's not. It's a basar shenim v'lo sha'adayin shir melicha. It didn't. I guess 18 minutes or an hour, or whatever. Then we can. I guess we can start the kulos, and it won't be also. Ach b'machum she'ein hefsed meruba. Isha also achal yibeshos. If there's no hefsed meruba, then you should be machmir for 12 hours. Yeah, 2 inch taz. Yeah. According to that, ain't the hachmir klal. But before 12 hours, it's being polite. You don't have to worry about it. Kol shekain lo nimlach klal. Kol shekain if it wasn't salted at all, the feeling nafel at tzir mamish. Even if you just touch it, it fell into a pool of tzir ein lo osroi. We can't ask for it. Darmina ayadei shelifil dam bidei yiflo gam kain. We say that whatever it even to absorb dam from the other piece, when you salt it, everything's going to come out. Right? So, for example, you have a bunch of meat you're salting, and one of the pieces falls into the tzir, then it's okay. Afilu nimlach abasar l'shar adayin shir melicha v'nafal l'tzir yesh lahatir. Let's say you're doing a lot of melicha, and one of the pieces falls. It was salted already, but it didn't. If it didn't even get to shir melicha, then it's also yesh lahatir. Again, not that if it fell in and you didn't realize it and it was in there for a whole day, then then there's nothing to do. Then there's even salty and won't get it out. It's sleep maybe. Im shir melicha. If it sat for shir melicha, but nafal the tzir, then it fell into the tzir. Yesh oisim oisar v'shelo kol azman pleitas tzirah. There are those that aser. Because then once it's then already it's like the case of even though it's being pulled sear, but if it's bolea the dam, so we say okay, it's mutter because you're gonna salt it, and it's just like it's pulled its own dam, you pull it this dam, but once it's a shir melicha and it's not being pulled dam, so therefore with the pleat of tzir, right, the fact that it's in pulled tzir is not enough to pull out the other dam. Mikol makom, the tzarech has to gadol yishahatir gam bezeh, kol zam plita zero, and the Rama says that erechanami, as long as it has to gadol, as long as it's been pulled tzir, it's okay. Hayatok you beishos, ayidei sheyachzor yidechenu, that you have to go ahead and wash it off again, and then do melicha. Right, and then do melicha again. V'chein in nafal tzir kodesh hashar shir melicha. Let's say it fell into tzir for 18 minutes. Yadichenu, again, the same thing that the Rama brings a new nakuda that you have to do hadacha of yam lichenu, and then wash off the salt, and then melech it again. And if you didn't do that, so it's mutter b'di'evet. So the kids are what Lamaisa comes out from the Ramah. There's been hagim, there's kulos, and there whatever. If it falls in, if a piece of meat that wasn't salted, but it's after shir, it wasn't salted. Or was salted and it's less than shir melicha and it fell into tzir, to wash it off and resalt it. That's what comes out. But the yevet, if you didn't, it's okay. But yevet, even if it's after shir melicha and you should do hadacha. You didn't do hadacha, it's also okay. But these are all the things you should do. Again, the fiyagin. The chol zelamayri ela b'tzir shehu koroseach. V'vur le'el simin samechtes, and this is only as long as the tzir is considered roseach. But dam be'en shenafa al basar. Let's say you shechted a cow, shechted an animal, a chicken, whatever, near the other chickens, or you're salting or about to salt, and blood splatters on it. It fell onto the piece of meat, the chicken. Inside, within the 18 minutes, who chashuv kiroseach, and it's enough that the mavur l'kaman 7 aleph and the melach is considered roseach. Nesa habasar, then it becomes aser. L'gabi dam be'en lo amrina adi yatar liflo lo bala lo kabala kachpolta. We had the different svaras. That is being polate, or that bolakachpoto, any of these kulas don't apply by dam be'en that's fall on it from the outside. Hada asvina, again, it's also only the klipa that's going to answer it. Hada asvina is sokashanafal tzir, hainu dafka masher sochatzir, and that which if it's aser, we said before, fell to tzir, it's only that which is in the tzir, like we said before. But masher lamalam in tzir shari. That's okay. We said this numerous times. Amiu mashi v'soichat tzir ne'asar miyad. Or that which is in the tzir is ne'asar miyad. Now this is the chiddush over here, is that Ramah says, "Ain't shir ladavar," that we don't know how long it takes. So therefore, if it falls into the tzir, which is roseach, then it becomes asar miyad. This is like also any other isser v'heter. We don't say, well, Maybe it's cold, but here, a melech is roseach, and it falls in, so therefore it's going to be neser miyad. Now we have a new nakuda in the Ramah that, let's say there's a pool of tzir on the ground and it fell into that. Dina ki'ilu haisa tzir b'kli. It's the same din as if the tzir is b'kli. We had the similar case before by kli she'einu menukov, that we shouldn't put it straight onto the ground because then it's considered that's not considered drainage. So to over here it fell into the ground, then it's also considered. It also comes also. Meat which touched another piece, which was salted in a kli she'einu menukov, nesra, and that piece became aser. This piece of meat has a din of tzir, and therefore if it touches that piece of meat, it's roseach, and therefore asers the clean piece of meat. Safek tzir, safek mayim, mutter. But let's say a fell and you're doing salting, onto the ground, whatever it is, and let's say that a piece of meat, and you see there's like a stain, there's liquid on the ground. You don't know if it was from that or water, or you had spilled water. You don't know which it is. Already, it's mutter the tzir d'Rabbanan. So tzir is only d'Rabbanan by dam because it's dam shemalach. It's sveka lahakel, and any suffix, and the actual suffix is the hakel. And see me'urav imayim, if you have tzir which is mixed with water, afilu hayu hamayim muatim, even if it's just a little bit of water. I don't know if it means you put a drop in, but it means mayim muatim. There is quantity of water, but it's not rov. Lo chashivi over seach. It's mevatel. It dilutes it. Ve'eno seres, and it won't become aser. Din kavush ayin lekaman siman kofhei. The dinim of kavush we'll see in kofhei, but these are the dinim of the Quran of melicha.
You would think that you would pour a little bit of water, a tiny bit of water, into whatever kli that you're collecting the runoff from salting, so that if by accident
it makes sense.
Into it,
Right, it makes sense to put a little bit. You put some water in.
before you do stuff.
Right, and then you don't have any issues. Correct, and that's an easy way to get rid of the problems. Okay, Ayin Aleph. Now we're going to get into all the dinim of melichos of different parts of the body. This is harosh chotchel l'shtayim. You want to salt the head, so you need to go ahead and cut it into half. Molchol yofel tzad pnim. There's two issues with the head. Obviously, if the head's whole, we had this in Samaches. If the head is whole and you want to salt it, it's like a cliche in a manukov. So therefore, it's the brain and whatever meat is in there is going to become ulcer. So you need to cut it in half. And then there's a second din that you have to be sure when you salt, you should salt both sides of the meat. So therefore, by the head, you have to get inside. You have to go ahead and malech inside. And then the chiddush is on the outside that you salt on the. You don't have to skin it on the outside. You can salt on the outside of the skin, and that would be enough to pull out the blood. I don't know, thick or thin hair.
The hair on the head.
I mean, if you have a bison, maybe you're right. As a thick hair, a thick mane, maybe you're right. It'd be more of an issue. But we're talking about, right? You have a regular, or you have thick wool of a sheep. That might also be. But the regular hair of a cow or things like that, the hair is fine. Right? If a big woolly sheep, it could be. I don't see anyone, but it makes sense that you would, has to get on. Put it this way, has to get onto the skin. So if you can't, if it's too much hair, then it won't. Then there's an issue. Beis hatalafim mechatech osam ma'at lamata. You want to salt the legs. You have to pierce the hooves, because again, it's like cliche in a manukov because there's no drainage because it salts down to the hoofs and there's no drainage, so you have to pierce it. Yanich makam mechatach lamata. V'yimlach gam al seyar, and there also you want to get to both sides. You also should salt on the outside on the skin. Gimel hakrum she'al hamoach yesh b'chutim, what's officially called the meninges for all the anatomy anatomy buffs. It's the membrane on the outside of the brain. Yesh b'chutim. It has blood vessels. We mentioned this before in Hilchos Dam. Hamoach atzmoi yesh bodam, and the brain itself has blood. Ve'eni yotzei midei damo v'melichas harosh, and it won't stam. It won't be enough to be polate the blood, but it would just be molech, been salting the head. Fisher etzem harosh makifai. And this is really explaining back the last few sifrim, because the skull is around it. But only lefanov ve'ein makom ladam lozuv, and there's no place for the dam to go. Lefichach habal l'mochel koro. That's how you don't want to cut it in half. You need to koro motzi hamoach. Then if you don't want to cut the head in half, then you should go ahead and you have to take out the brain, or korea hakrum, and you have to go ahead and break open the membrane or mocho, and then you can go ahead and salt it.
So if you cut it in half?
If you cut the whole skull in half, there's no problem. This is, you want to keep it whole for whatever reason. The sheep's head on Rosh Hashanah is very, because of certain,
Oh, but you don't keep it whole without the brain.
Yeah. If you want to salt the head and with the brain inside, for some sort of delicacy, I have no idea. I mean, sweetbreads can be tasty if a person likes eating them. But I guess if you want the whole head, you have to go ahead and drill a hole through the skull by the membrane where it's broken. And you have to be sure to keep the hole at the bottom so blood drains out. Then it's even mutter to boil it. Talks about it in Samaches, how you should do it properly. Obviously, if you turn, and the Ramah says over there, if you put it by the neck, if you put it head up, that's also fine, because then the blood will drain out that way. And if you salted it whole without making a hole, asurim, then they're all asur. But anything on the outside will be mutter, including the tongue, because it's by the mouth and there's a place to drain it. But kol shekain shar basar she'ima, or any other meat which is stock, it's just the brain and the membrane which come also. Hakulis v'shar atzamos sheish behem moach, bones which have marrow in them, tzrichim melicha, they also need melicha. And salting the bones helps get out any blood from the marrow. And it's bones are porous. You don't need to go ahead and make a hole in the bone. It's better not to go ahead and to salt a bone with other meat. With the Evid Shari, we're talking about here like a big marrow bone. I don't think it means if you can salt the whole leg, but you shouldn't go ahead and take a bone. You want to have the marrow and just salt the bone, because it's totally different. But again, as the Shach says, the shaper dummy. That's pashut that you can, like I said, salt the leg with its own basar. It's just if you want to go ahead and have a bone, you want to put and you clean off the bone and you want to have with the marrow, and you shouldn't salt it together with other pieces of meat, because it could be that then it's bolef any of the pieces of meat. The plate and the blia might work a little bit differently.
Didn't you know you're supposed to cut the bone in half?
Which bones?
The bones that have marrow in them? No? You remember?
I don't remember, but yeah. Right, Ayin Beis, V'lichatz Halev V'Hareya. Aleph, Halev Miskabetz Hadam B'Soichoi B'Shas Shchita. We'll start with Hakdama. That the issue with the heart is that during Shchita, blood pools inside the heart. Lefichach tzarech l'karo, kodem melicha, you want to salt it, you need to cut it open before you do melicha, lahotzi damo, and then squeeze out the blood, l'malcho achakach, and then you can salt it afterwards. Va'az mutter afilu levashlo, and then it's even mutter levashel it. V'yesh machmirin levashlo rak tzolin also. The Ramah says, however, there are those that say that, you should never do bishul on it, and you can only roast it. And again, the Mechaber holds you can cook it, fry it up. I don't know, whatever. Those machmirin that even with melicha, with kriya melicha, that you shouldn't do it because maybe you'll cook it. You know, there's a Murav Yerushalmi. It's a dish. I think it has all these like funny stuff in there, hearts and spleens and whatever. So the question is that l'chachila to eat that or not for Ashkenazim. Well, because the chachila, it could be because if you fry, if it's just no, but frying could be cooking. Cook,
If there's oil used.
oil, if you're using oil, if it's just on a griddle, right? Just then it could be that could be doesn't make a difference. But if it's
It's not manuka.
hmm.
Black griddle, it's not manuka.
No, you salted it already. Ramah says you should be machmir. Only eat it. You'll only eat it roasted, not
Roasted.
so you can't make a a fried dish out of it. Okay, unless there's no oil, it's something else. It's not bishul. But if there's oil, then that's called bishul. And then according to Ramah, it's better. It's meish machmirin. It's better not to do that because it's
That before salt?
after salting. After salting. After you salted it, afal pikein, because you might come to go ahead and cook come to cook the leg without opening it. Then it's a new.
Never wash.
Yeah, that's a zera. If you did, you did, and be mutter. But achopanim l'chachila you shouldn't.
יש נותנים מלבש לו.
Yeah, it could be. All right, this I think we'll stop here.